Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Gillian Berry. Today we have an amazing guest, my friend Eli Martyr, which many of you know, 6-year Fruitarian, and he is from the Freemelon Society. His computer just fell.
My computer just
Are you
fell.
sure it's okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
We have an amazing video in store for you guys. We are going to be talking about if we have experienced any classic raw vegan deterioration symptoms. So I am a 5-year raw vegan. Like I said, Eli is a 6-year Fruitarian. So I'm going to start with the classic things like weight, dental, hair, stuff like that, and go through mine. And then we will save the best for last. We will move on to Eli.
Come on.
And I know you guys will all stick around for Eli. And then I am going to go over some questions too. So my subscribers, you guys have some awesome questions about deterioration for both of us. So we will go over those at the end as well. Give this video a big thumbs up right now. Make sure you subscribe if you don't already. And I will link Eli's stuff below as well so you can subscribe to him. I want to start this video with a quote from this guy who has lately been really kind of harassing my channel. He is very anti-vegan and I respect what everyone wants to do, but it doesn't mean you need to be so hateful and disrespectful, right? Desmomoto says, so losing weight, losing hair, losing muscle mass, losing periods, and becoming infertile on the raw vegan diet is healthy. Look at you. So this was directed towards me. So I felt it was super important to bring this up because literally none of these things are true. On the raw vegan diet, I actually weigh a little bit more than I weighed on my diet prior, which was the standard American diet. I weigh 125 and I weighed 115 before. I want to talk about losing hair. I did a video about hair as well. My hair is thicker, it grows faster, it's way stronger, it doesn't fall out anymore. It is so much better on the raw vegan diet than it was before. If it wasn't, I would be honest with you guys, but so far, going 5 years in, things are amazing. And I think that's also because I eat a wide variety, I eat a lot of calories, and I make sure all nutrient bases are covered. So if some people are experiencing some of these things, I think it's because maybe they're lacking things like zinc, iodine, not eating enough, in my personal opinion. Next, I want to talk about losing periods. I have personally not missed one period. My period is extremely regular. Sorry for all this too much information for Eli.
No,
nice and close talking about periods. But it's every 28 or 29 days. I have never missed one. It is super healthy, super regular. My libido is just as strong and healthy as well. I ovulate. I know when I'm ovulating. And as far as fertility goes, Desmomoto. I actually got pregnant the first time I tried as a raw vegan. I'd been a raw vegan for 1 or 2 years and I conceived the first time. I haven't experienced any of these things, so I'm absolutely thriving. So I just wanted to bring up these things. I think it's super important, and I think when people maybe are suffering from some of these issues, maybe they're still in detox, or maybe they're not eating enough calories, or like I said, maybe they're missing some nutrients. Okay, and I think another thing is people talk about being weak and low energy. I have so much more energy on the raw vegan diet than I did prior. And in fact, over the years, if I have eaten something that's cooked, I literally feel almost like a weakness in me and a lot more tired. So I'm absolutely thriving. And I just want to say too, just rewind a little bit back to the birth control pill or the periods. A lot of people ask, do I take the birth control pill? And I don't take the birth control pill. So I just want to throw that in because for me, that's important. I think it just totally throws off your clock and your rhythm with Mother Nature. Yeah. And I think you have to do what you need to do as far as protection goes. So I'm not saying don't take the pill. I'm just saying that's what's best for me. And I think it's just when you don't take the pill, you're in sync with Mother Nature, you ovulate, your body's in rhythm, and I think it's kind of odd and strange to turn that off. And it's a proven fact when you take the pill, it affects the type of men you're attracted to because it changes your hormones so much. So if you're on the pill, they say you're attracted to a different type of man than if you were not on the pill, which I think is kind of crazy, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know, that's kind of a big deal to me, right? Another thing I just want to bring up for me too is the dental thing. I know a lot of people say when they go raw vegan or fruitarian, they say they experience dental issues. In my opinion, I think that can be with things like a lot of dates or things like that are bad for your teeth. But for me, I haven't experienced that at all. I actually had a lot of dental problems prior to being raw vegan. So I had really bad fluorosis on my teeth growing up, which was from excessive fluoride. So I used to get bullied really bad because they had all the yellow spots. So then when it came time for me to get married, I went in to get a couple veneers to touch up my teeth. And they were like, you have to do all your upper teeth because it's not going to look right. And then before I know it, they did. And it was super traumatic. I was like, whoa, what just happened? They filed down your upper teeth. It was crazy. So I had a lot of dental work because of problems with other things in the past. And then as a result, they've kind of worn down a bit on my bottom teeth because of having the dental work done. But it is what it is. It's fine. I'm just saying I experienced a lot of problems prior to being raw vegan. a root canal, a cavity, and then all those dental problems. But as far as being raw vegan now, I've experienced no dental problems. And in fact, like I know a lot of people say with fruit, there can be problems. Whenever I've done mono fruit cleanses or things like that, I've noticed my teeth and gums have never felt so clean. Like if I do a watermelon cleanse or something, my teeth and gums feel amazing. And I just want to say I'm not deteriorated at all. I feel absolutely incredible. And if I was, I would never come on my channel and say like things that were deteriorating me and like sort of like sharing these things that were false, because I would never want to harm somebody else. At the same time, I'm not a my way or the highway type. I don't come on here and say like, do exactly what I do. This works for me. I'm absolutely thriving, and I think it's because of the abundance of foods I eat. And I personally take supplements. I know Eli doesn't. He thrives that way. And I just want to say, like, I had way more problems before being raw vegan.
Yeah.
Right? So let's move on to Eli.
Oh, well, I was going to ask you, how long, so you had those tooth problems before you went raw vegan.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to recognize that you were getting a little bit better? Like your teeth were getting a bit better once you switched to raw?
I don't know. Like I've noticed, like, I guess like within a couple of years, I was like, oh, they feel cleaner. They're just like so much easier to clean. And I haven't had any cavities or anything. And I go to the dentist. I think it's still important. And
Yeah. See, I know with me, I stopped really going to the dentist. Not because there's anything against just the standard cleaning. I'd be happy to go just, just for a checkup or whatnot. But I guess just in the absence of problems, it kind of just, you forget about it, right?
Yeah.
Unless you want something in particular done or whatnot. But I used to go to the dentist more frequently, but once I started cleaning up my diet, not exactly what I'm doing now. I mean, even just going like plant-based and more raw rather than more cooked, even then I started noticing differences.
Yeah.
Tooth thing, I mean, there are a lot of factors that are involved there. But we can go into that another time. Yeah,
have you experienced, so as a fruitarian, have you experienced, because this is a huge question, right?
Yeah.
Especially as a fruitarian, have you experienced any like dental problems as one, or no?
No, I've never, not dental problems. What I have noticed though is just what you said, is if I, like in the earlier days, my first year particularly, when I was just going absolutely buck wild with dates. Okay, like when I say buck wild, like I'm serious, guys. Like I would polish off an absolutely obscene amount of dates, right, in a meal, just every once in a while. If I just did it too many days consecutively, then I would start to notice a bit of sensitivity. I'm like, oh, but it was very easy to identify what it was. So as soon as I stopped doing that, the sensitivity goes away and then never to return unless I go absolutely buck wild again for several days eating dates and, bananas and dates or whatever combinations I like to add dates in. It's one of those things where it was not a mystery as to what was happening. Just reintroduce the regular things that I'm accustomed to eating, just fruits, and whether it's a salad here or there. Whatever it is, none of those things had any of those effects, and you always just don't notice anything in the teeth. So there's that. Yeah, I mean, fruit isn't hurting your teeth, but there are lots of other factors that are playing in the backdrop that sometimes we're not really aware of, right? So there's going to be a bit of investigative work there, because I know that people out there have had tooth issues. So there's more to this story than just, the orange destroyed your tooth. The lettuce destroyed your tooth. So there's more.
And that would be hard. Imagine like you feel so good, you're eating this way, but then it's like destroying your teeth. I'm so grateful, like not to have dealt with that at all.
Yeah.
But and so I'm wondering, what about weight? Have you how has your weight been? And
with weight, my story is always, I always mention it, that I lost a lot of weight in the initial period, and so I lost about like 10, 12 pounds or so. And then over the rest of the time up until now, it was kind of like a slow incremental loss of just a little trickle more weight, a little more weight here, a little more weight there, doing a bit more cleanses, until I finally hit where I'm at now, which is about 165, 163, depending if I'm doing more cleansing or fasting. Even 167, around there. So it fluctuates around that range. And since I got to that range, it's like, it doesn't matter what I do, I'll never go outside that range. Unless I go on a fast of several days, then you can see that, but then it just flies right back up like pretty soon. So. And
you look really healthy. Like, guys, Eli is not deteriorating. Hopefully that shows through the camera, because in person he looks really, really like one of the healthiest people I've ever seen, which I've said in my videos before. So yeah, the aging thing. We didn't touch on the aging thing. For me, like I look younger now as a raw vegan, and I never sleep. My 3-year-old has woken me up every single night. Like I don't know what is with her. She's like superhuman. She has more energy than any person I've ever met. So usually if kids don't sleep, they're grumpy, and she just has so much energy, and she likes to wake me up all night. If I ever look like age, I think it's from because I never sleep, but I generally look a lot younger than I did my pre-raw days.
Yeah.
So I've shown pictures on my channel of that. Make sure you subscribe so you can catch those videos. But what about you? What about the aging thing? You don't look aged at all. How old are you?
I'm 30. I'm turning 39 this year.
Okay, and I'm
turning
39.
You're 39.
Yeah.
Okay. What I can tell you for sure is that I never really received compliments on things like, oh, you know, you have lovely skin, or oh, you have, you know, lovely eyes, or oh, you have, you know. I never really got these until I started making drastic lifestyle changes. So before I looked like I did, but it wasn't that anything stood out in that way. But it was only afterwards where, you know, you have I've heard the term glowing before. Oh gosh, I don't like
No,
this.
you are glowing. It gives you that glow, right?
I've general compliments.
Yeah.
That's I only started to hear them
Yeah.
really noticeably once I started making dietary reform.
Yeah.
So prior to that, I was always in shape. I was always fairly athletic, but so people would, you know, give me compliments on that, but it was never like a health thing.
Yeah.
You know, and so I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like I'm deteriorating. I feel great. I feel energetic. You know, the channels of elimination are clear. I always mention that because, you know, prior to this, it's like I couldn't breathe properly. And now it's just like I mean, there's so many benefits that you could just run down the list on. And it's like, I would never give that up, you know, to go back to how I used to live.
Me too.
So,
did you have sinusitis?
Yeah,
I had that too,
I did.
right?
Yeah, I did. I you know, try to
Yeah.
do like meditation practices, and it's just like, oh my god, like I can't do them properly. Like everything's clogged up, and then all of a sudden that goes, and it's just like breathing is just a different experience, right? So yeah,
It is.
there's
I've noticed
lots
that
of
if I would have
differences.
cooked food over the years, my nasal would clog up a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Now
yeah.
it's like so clear. So more oxygen, I think, is running to your brain. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
It seems like it.
Well,
I'm
that's
not
exactly-
saying people
no.
eating cooked food aren't getting oxygen in their brain or anything.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
saying,
But
yeah.
no, but you definitely increase the sensitivity of your body to the same amount of oxygen. So like your body will be able to get more. Your blood will be able to take in more oxygen, right? It's just less cluttered with all the metabolic waste products and byproducts of life and of a bad diet.
Yeah.
And so if the diet's really bad, it becomes even more of a problem to do that. Again, it's not something that, you know, people on average conventional diets, it's not like they're going around like breathing and huffing, but it's something that's happening in the backdrop that is affecting how much oxygen delivery you're getting in the system. Of course, these things all start to happen. And I mean, in terms of like to get to the question, the deterioration thing, yeah, I mean, I really don't feel that that's happened, but what I can see happening is people mistaking that what they think of as deterioration as just an intense cleansing or purging of tissue, purging of wastes, purging of just riffraff, and so I can see that being misconstrued as deterioration. Yeah, unless there are mistakes that you've made that can actually start to hurt you, in which case, in which case you'd have to, you know, slow down, reassess, and then So I'm not discounting that people have noticed adverse effects, but there's just more to the story, because if it was let's just break it down to the simple. If it was the actual fruit and vegetables and the raw food that was causing the problem, if that was the actual cause, it would mean that it would have to do that to everybody in every instance where they're on a raw food diet. And we know that it doesn't. We're two people sitting in front of you here that have definitely not experienced this deterioration. There are hundreds, thousands of people doing this raw food lifestyle who notice just an upwelling of energy, just an improvement of life in all spectrums, in all ranges.
And I do want to say too, I know some people come on my channel and they say, I did vegan for 3 years. I was deteriorating. And I get that. Like maybe that does happen. But for me, if I did just vegan, like I was still deteriorating when I did that. So for me, the effect cooked food has on me, like I had a lot of health problems before. I wasn't healing when I was incorporating like vegan foods and like trying to heal. I was deteriorating. And I'm not saying that that's going to be the case for everyone. Like a lot of people can thrive on like a cooked vegan diet and they don't have to go raw. But for me, like that was the case. And going raw, like I'm just as far as you get from deteriorating. So I think maybe too, we talk about like the mental capacity, and a lot of people say like, you know, vegans or raw vegans, like they lose their minds and like all this, like I know before I was raw, like I was a really angry person. Don't get me wrong. I think we're on the planet of polarity. So I think anybody that says I never get angry anymore or sad, like I think it's normal to experience all the emotions, but it's maybe how you express them. And I used to be really hardcore bad with how I would express them. Like I had a family member, her and I don't speak anymore, but we used to have, we just triggered each other, and I would just like say all these things. People would probably never believe I was such a nasty person, but and I had like a lot of brain fog, a lot of depression, and just was not like a happy, like bubbly, joyful person. So that has totally changed mentally, and I'm also just so much more creative. I created this channel, so much more productive. I get so much more done than if I wasn't raw. I used to be so tired and not like get nearly as much done. It is next level. And you guys would notice such a difference if I decided to go back to cooked food in what I would accomplish each day. So mentally, I'm absolutely thriving. And that's probably like the mentally how I am, and my physical energy are the main reasons why I do it. So I cannot say I've suffered as far as that goes. But what about you? Have you noticed differences?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think what I want to add is just a couple, just some key things that we can, that we add to this debate, because it's a persistent one. There's lots of people that have these questions. We really have to respect the amount of time spent damaging ourselves in the past. Like people don't really give that the amount of respect that it deserves. You have to take that into consideration when you start going on this lifestyle, because it does take some time to make a transition, to make a change, right? You have to also imagine, okay, so in addition to respecting the amount of time that you've spent hurting yourself, you have to also remember that your whole body, all your internal constitution has all been built off of the character and color of the diet you've been eating for your whole life. Okay, if you all of a sudden want to change that, right? Imagine you're at the Great Wall of China, right? And then someone says to you, "Hey, see that Great Wall over there? Yeah, see that shovel over there? Take that shovel and start rearranging or replacing all of those bricks with golden bricks." Right? It might take some time, right? It's going to take a little bit of time. Now, you might have more or less workers depending on how intense, depending on the nature of how cleansing the diet is that you're doing, will determine how fast that brick wall is getting chipped away at and being replaced with these golden bricks, right? Because you're in the process of building a golden wall instead of the Great Wall as it is now. Let's just say, this is just a rough analogy. So if you jump into too much of a cleansing lifestyle right off the bat, you might get a lot of chaos. You might get workers everywhere, and you might have to shut down portions of the wall for visitors. I don't know how it works there. I've never been to the Great Wall, but maybe if you approached it very slowly, you might only have 1 or 2 workers, and they can start doing little fixes, little amendments here or there on the wall, and it's not so much of a kerfuffle, right? So it's just a general, silly kind of analogy. But yeah, depending on how much time you've put into building your entire body with what you used to eat, you have to realize that this is a structure that has been built. So it does take time. You mentioned like going on this journey, and 3 years down the road, you still weren't settled in your new kind of homeostasis, right? Same with me. I can say the same thing. I was still incrementally losing weight. I was still going through little ebbs and flows, dips in the energy, few and far between. I was noticing all sorts of wonderful things on top of that completely outweighed the times where I was less energetic.
Yeah.
but I still had them. I was still going through stuff. I remember there was one day, I think I made a video on it, where I randomly had weird dandruff, just randomly. And so I was like, but I didn't know what to make of it. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna accept that this is happening for whatever reason, and I'm just gonna keep doing exactly what I'm doing now, and just surrender to the process, the natural process that's going on. And sure enough, you know, it lasted for a week or so, and then just by itself went away. So do I know exactly what that was? This is the agency of nature. Like, she's just gonna work on your body and keep working on it so long as you give it the right conditions. And if you trust that and do the right thing, then usually what happens is you get to a good place. No, it's okay. Couple other things. Depending on, so this is something that people might overlook, depending on how much damage was done. So if I just, you know, start smashing my knee with a hammer for some sort of crazy madness comes over me, the vegan brain fog just hits, and I'm like, I'm vegan. Okay, so let's say I do that. I destroy my knee, and
don't do that.
Don't do
all
that.
The raw vegans a bad name, and we're all done. Yeah.
But let's say I do that, and I keep doing it for a week. I just keep smashing my knee with this hammer, bam, 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 bam. Okay, removing the cause. So if I just stop doing that, usually in most cases that's enough to elicit a healing response. But sometimes, if the bludgeoning was so bad, and I kept doing it over time, when it heals, there's actual structural damage done to my knee where it's literally not the same anymore. And so there's a compromise in the integrity. So when that happens with our internal chemistry, sometimes what can happen is, even though you've removed all of the offensive bits from your diet, right? The stuff, the landmines, I usually call them landmines. So you remove all the obvious landmines, processed food, processed meats, and all this kind of stuff. Sometimes, depending on how much damage was done, maybe that person has a particular genetic weakness to something, and then on top of that, they exacerbated it with whatever bad diet, okay? Maybe there's an actual compromise in the structure of the kidneys and the structure of the liver, in which case you would have to take a more kind of direct approach, whatever it is, whether it's herbs that to help and stimulate the liver, whether it's particular supplements that you can take temporarily or whatever. But there are other things to consider when there's actual structural damage, where if you just remove the cause, you're going to be getting healthier, but there's still something wrong. Maybe there's absorption problems or whatnot. So that's something to consider as well, right? The actual mechanical damage that you may have done to yourself that you might not see or notice unless you get some, you know, a professional naturopath or whatnot. So these are things that can happen.
Yeah.
And again, these are all factors that are going on in the backdrop, but is more than just the food, because like we said, it's, you know, it's carrots and lettuce and celery are not hurting you.
I think it's not all diet too. It's not all lifestyle. It's not all your diet, right? Like you can be under like severe stress, or other things can be going on. And I think sometimes things will happen with some vegans, and there will be something happen, and it'll just be like, oh, it's the vegan diet, or oh, it's the raw vegan diet. But there's all these other things, right? Yeah. I've been through all these traumas the last 3 years, and it's like, it doesn't matter how good the diet was at times. It's like, it can really break you. Like things can happen, right? Yeah. Yeah. So it's absolutely not like it's.
Yeah, there's so many variables here. There's something else that is that could be a factor that you might want to consider. So you can reform your eating. So you can go under eating reform. So you can like change the elements of your diet that you're taking in every day, right? But just because you change the elements of what you're eating, it doesn't necessarily change the way you eat, right? You can have food reform, but not necessarily eating reform, where let's say you remove turkey from your diet and you replace that with tofurkey, and you're accustomed to eating turkey with this and this and this and this and that oil and that seasoning, and then dessert comes after and blah blah blah, and you know, the whole shebang. So now all you've done is you replace turkey with tofurkey. You're now the vegan. Not much is changing. It's like, veganism didn't work. I'm saying veganism, but again, this isn't even a diet, right? This is just a philosophy. It's a lifestyle. A plant-based. Okay, we'll just say that. Oh, the plant-based diet didn't work for me. But if you don't change both, so you want to be changing. You want to have food reform, so you're changing the actual elements of the diet. But you also want to look at eating reform as well. The timing of your diet, of your foods, what you're combining your foods with. Are you stressed when you're eating? How much are you sleeping? Are you eating too late? How many good foods are you combining at the same time, right? To eat at the same time. What are the bad combinations? So there's lots of stuff here where you can still be eating badly, but not necessarily eating bad foods, but just eating them in a way that is not as helpful, whether it's bad combinations or any of the stuff that I was just talking about earlier. So all these we need to consider, because you can have really good food and then you eat it in a really bad way, in an awfully combined way, or under awful conditions, and it's not gonna serve you as well. It's not gonna serve you as well, and so then you'll say, oh, I'm eating great food, but people say that all the time. Like I'm eating vegan, but this is happening. What's wrong? It's like, I have no idea what that means. I don't know what vegan is, right?
Yeah.
It's just that could be anything, right? It could be Oreos and cement. Like, I don't know. So one thing I wanted to say also is how drastic the jump is from your old diet to the new diet. So this is a problem that we run into all the time. If the diet is of a particular nature and you make too drastic a jump to the other end of the spectrum, this is a problem, right? It's like, imagine I'm just trying to sneak up on you, and I sneak up on you really, really quiet and carefully, and then I make a loud noise and you jump, right? So, or I try to sneak up on you, but instead, I try to scare you, but I make like a slow noise that lets you know I'm coming, and I go, ooh, like you're just gonna turn around and I'm like, what are you doing? Right? It was more gradual and slow, and and then if I go back, it doesn't make a difference because you've already been prepared for it, because I made the stupid decision to make a loud or a slow noise trying to scare you. It doesn't matter. So yeah, you need to have a gradual approach so that you're not as jarred, so your body's not as jarred, scared, terrified, frightened, right, when you make this jump to the new lifestyle, right? And give like we were talking about earlier, respect the amount of damage done, or at least, if not damage, just respect how much time is being put into constituting your body in a certain way. And now you want to you want to design and fashion a completely new body, right? Like, I am a completely different person than existed several years ago. It's a complete 100% reform from the top down. So if that's where we're trying to get to, no, it's not like I've achieved anything, but I'm just saying, if we want to make drastic improvements in our life, okay, that's what I'm saying. Then you just have to respect how much time went into creating the old you, and be respectful and
be so humble.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Don't be in a rush. Be in a rush. Now, there's going to be the question of, okay, but I've been doing this I've given it the good shot. I've given it a couple of years. I've given it, I've tried all the cleanses and whatnot, and I'm still deteriorating, right? So that is where we have to do some detective work, right? The eating versus food reform. That's going to be a good question to ask. Okay, so you've been eating the foods. How are you eating them, right? Under what conditions are you eating them, right? So you have to start playing with these questions. You have to start playing with, okay, how much time did you put? Like, I mean, are you 108 years old and then decide to make the switch, and now 5 years down the road, I'm still deteriorating. Like, you put in a century to destroying yourself, right? All these questions, right? So it's going to take some detective work to figure out. But what we can.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I want to say too, even as vegans or raw vegans, like eventually you deteriorate in life, right?
Yeah.
Like some people I think who are non-vegans look at this and think that we think this is an immortal diet and you're never going to age
Yeah.
and you're never going to pass away. And if you have some wrinkles and you're 40, oh my gosh, the diet's not working, guys. Let's make YouTube videos about someone because it's like we're not immortal, right?
Yeah.
Things still happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah.
I
Life
don't know.
life happens, life does go on, right? So, we expect that, but yeah, so you just, there's investigative work to be done here when those things start to happen, but never lose sight of the principle that good nourishing food, that human food is not hurting you. It's only operating in your body under conditions that you have imposed on it, whether you were aware of that or not, whether it was your fault or not, right? You were breathing bad air, right? That's something that could happen. You're doing all the right things, but you happen to live in a part of the city that is right beside the nuclear reactor, or it's right beside this, or it's right, and you're just breathing the stuff in, and you never know, right? And how would you know? So there's lots of things to consider.
I think too, a lot of raw vegans and vegans get into cleansing, right? And specifically water fasting, dry fasting. I've never done those. I think people have to be very careful with those. And if they are something you want to do, maybe like do a lot of research and do them supervised. I think they can be dangerous. And I know, like, in certain cases, some raw vegans or vegans have passed away, unfortunately. May they rest in peace doing those things. I think just be careful with those things. I don't know. Like, people ask me to make videos on Hild, I think her name is Hild Larson, so if I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Hildy? I don't know.
I didn't watch her
Hildy
videos,
Larson?
but she was a raw vegan, apparently.
Yeah.
And she passed away not too long ago. Again, may she rest in peace. It's unfortunate. I don't know her whole backstory. I did hear she was maybe doing an intense fast at the time, but I don't know. But she was apparently in her 50s, and I mean, things still happen, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been asked the same question, but the thing is, like, I know as much as you guys. I don't know. I don't know her personally. I've only heard whatever loose speculations, and it's that's not enough to give
to
a
comment and say
convincing
why
answer.
when you don't know what's going on in the person's life, right?
We don't know. I mean, look, the stuff we just ran through today. I mean, we don't know. We don't personally have any of these answers, right?
Yeah.
So it becomes almost irresponsible to give our opinions on that because we just don't have enough information.
I think so too. Well, I'd love to get in to a few of the viewers' questions for the deteriorating topic. So we will start with hold on. We will start with one of the most important ones. So I have to throw this in because she's one of my favorite subscribers. So Jill Holland wants to say, she said, I want to hear Eli say something sexy in French. I had to throw it in for fun. Don't worry, we're going to get to the serious ones right now. Are you French, by the way?
No, I'm not French, but I can speak a little bit.
Maybe a shout out to Jill.
Sure, shout out. How you doing, Jill? Chaque jour je rêve à toi.
That was good. Is that correct?
I hope so. Yeah. I hope I didn't tell her, like, I think you are a bus. No.
I took French in grade 4. I couldn't say one line.
Oh, really? Okay. I think I just said every day I dream of you. Is that it?
There you go, Jill. Jill is amazing.
Oh,
her profile picture is your logo. She loves you. She's so supportive of us. I love her. I love, like, the nice people. I was going to say I still love the not so nice people, but I don't know.
Very last thing that I want to add to this is the honeymoon phase and the breakdown phase of making a transition into a new lifestyle, into a new healthier lifestyle. When you introduce a lifestyle and good foods that are not hurting you anymore, there's gonna be a period of time where your body is increasing the amount of energy and vital force available to it, where it's really gonna start enjoying that, right? That there's this, oh my God, there's this new abundance of energy that's not being squandered with really difficult digestion and labored breathing and all this kind of stuff. Okay, there's gonna be that period of time where you're starting to feel really, really good. And then at some point, there might come a time where a little bit of the breakdown of the detox starts to happen, right? It would be good to expect that. How severe each person is affected by that phenomena is variable, and there are all the other things to consider that will determine how strongly that affects you. But you can expect that after that honeymoon phase, there might be some times where there are little inconsistencies as your body regulates, because with the abundance of energy first, it aggregates, and then your body says, with all this energy, let's actually start going to work and taking out stuff that was there before. And then it gets to work scrounging down and diving into the tissues and pulling out stuff. And that's when you can feel, I feel a little bit less energetic today. So understand that there's this too. So there's the honeymoon phase, starting a new lifestyle, a new diet that's cleansing. And then there's a bit of not a breakdown, but just, well, I guess you could call it breakdown, but just more deeper internal reform that goes on once you've aggregated enough energy and you've given your body time to do that. And then if you can just get through that, which is not going to be hard, you're already used to the lifestyle, you're already enjoying the good foods. So when I say get through, that's not a challenge. You just keep doing what you're doing. And just recognize that could happen, and it might happen, and you're going to be a better person on the other side.
Good point.
Yeah.
For some people too, though, I feel like they just go into it, feel amazing, and they don't experience like the detox.
Yeah.
I didn't experience the detox.
Yeah.
I felt so good.
Yeah.
But also, I think some people, when they're like really low fat, they seem to experience more detox or something. Like I think it's because I've always liked my fats. I don't know.
Yeah. That's very possible. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole range of how strong these things are. Sometimes you might not even notice.
Yeah, and I think in most cases, though, it is how you said.
Yeah. And it's, if it was happening, it might have just been happening and you didn't even detect it. But for the people that do notice it strongly, just understand that it's the same thing. We all kind of go through it, but some people might not notice it as much. I mean, for me, very mild. Like, I was still exercising, I was still doing everything. Like, nothing really stopped for me. So I didn't really notice it. I mean, save for like a couple of days where just a little bit less incentive to exercise or whatever, like nothing bad.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Well, let's get through some of the amazing questions.
Yeah.
So Allison Stevens wants to know about eye health, vision, and the tissue above the eyes. So since going raw, I forgot to bring this up before. My eyes have changed so much. My whole life, I wore a prescription that was plus 550 or over 6. And a couple years after being raw, I had like no contacts or glasses in, and I could read the TV. So I was like, what is going on? I can see so much clearer. I started paying attention to the fact that my vision was a lot better. Nice. So I went to the eye doctor, and then at that time, I think it was a year or two in, I forget, my prescription was, I think, 4. And he was like, whoa, it doesn't usually go down, right? He's like, so he was open to the fact. He was even like, yeah, the fruits. He's like, especially like the yellow fruits have like a big impact. And like the greens or whatever. I think he was just really focused on the yellow fruits. And then, so right now I'm wearing 3, which is pretty good.
Nice.
But
That's so funny.
They had been lower before in the past. And I have noticed that when I keep my fats low, like my eyes are better. So I've noticed when I've done cleanses of like, I did a month of only bananas, apples, and green juices, and I noticed my vision, literally, I could feel it getting like clearer, or on a juice cleanse. So I don't know if it's connected to the fats. They say when you have eye problems, it's connected to your pancreas. Dr. Sebi, I think, used to say that, or somebody I studied. And the pancreas has to do with the digesting, right? So that makes me think like maybe the fats and the enzymes in my body, I don't know, but my eyes have gotten better, and I think that's really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then I remember just for an experiment, I went to another doctor, and I remember he was like, that's impossible. Eyesight never gets better. So I just think it's a shame people believe, like, so many people have those beliefs that things can't get better, because, like, they can. We're such amazing creatures. If you give our body the right thing, they can get better. My eyes are just like so much more bright. The whites of my eyes, they're just so much more awake looking than they used to be. And just, and my eye color has changed. So my eyes when I was little were blue. And then in my childhood, they were like strictly green. There was no blue in them. Now I think there's more. What color are they? I don't know if they're blue or green. They seem to change color.
I think a little bit of a mix of blue and green. Yeah.
But yeah, my eye health that's been an exciting thing. So what about you?
Sorry, I was laughing when you said 3 because that's. Oh no, sorry.
The prescription.
Plus the prescription.
Yeah.
-3.
Plus.
Oh, plus. Okay. No. So in my case, I never noticed vision improvement for my whole life until fairly recently. I started noticing vision improvements. Use a -4. Like my eyesight was really bad. So I've mentioned this in other videos. I was not gifted with good genetics for eyesight. Like my eyesight was really bad when I was very, very, very young. Very young. So I've always had to wear glasses, contacts. But it's only since I've been doing this lifestyle that I went from a -4 to now I can wear like a -3.
Wow.
Yeah, so it has actually improved, but not by much, because I'm still battling whatever weakness I had for vision. That's just that's just me. But it's interesting because I have noticed just a slight improvement.
Yeah.
Whereas my whole life I didn't notice anything.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And Zinda said, my skin and eyes are really dry for the last year on a plant-based diet, mostly fruits and vegetables, no oil. So I want to say too, raw, my eyes are way less dry, especially when I wake up. But I know that Zinda said mostly on plant-based, mostly fruits and veggies. Even if I were to eat a little bit of cooked food, my eyes would be so dry. I've noticed that over the years. So like that could be the thing. You might want to try all raw. But have you noticed a difference, like your eyes feel more moist raw, or do you experience dryness?
I never noticed too much with the skin around the eyes. Yeah, that's what she's referring to.
Yeah.
Skin around the eyes. No.
Dryness. Like
Dryness. Yeah. I haven't noticed too much. There was a small period where I did notice just a little bit of flakiness around the eyes. But it was the same approach that I used when I mentioned the dandruff. It was just like, okay, well, I have no idea what this is, but I'm just gonna continue to be good about my diet. Maybe do like a short, couple days mono cleanse on something just for fun, and then go back to what I normally eat. Just not overeat and not splurge. Just doing the regular type of thing. And it passed. So. I don't know if that's helpful at all. That might not be helpful at all. But I did notice that for a small period of time, but like nothing really to, not anything that would really be noticeable, to someone else. So, I mean, those little irregularities, again, it takes a little bit of detective work, but in the end, if you're just providing yourself with enough physiological rest and not doing the things that hurt you, then you can expect those things to pop up. But you just keep going, and then they tend to resolve themselves over time. So long as you're not hurting yourself. Yeah.
Okay, Patrick said some of these things we've mentioned, but he said, Patrick Dalton said nails, hair loss, vision, joints, and the mind, like memory loss and mental illness. So my mind, my memory, great, like mentally great, vision better, my joints, I never have problems. If I were to eat cooked foods though, I'd have some problems. Hair is better, and my nails are better. They don't like break and stuff like that, and they feel really strong. So, but what about you? And I know people like to say, well, Eli, you lost your hair. This diet's not working. But you started losing your hair before.
Way before.
And I think vitamin D in the sun, they say people that live in the tropical climates have way less balding. So we live in Toronto. I think like the sun is so important for things too. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. With joints, that's something that I noticed, but in the complete opposite direction. Like I never had bad joint problems, but I definitely had irritations and things that I was living with that I thought, oh, this is just never going to go away. I probably mentioned in some other video that I had neck tension from just a lot of reactions, working on film and whatnot. And I had this neck tension that I just had for years and years. That finally went away after adopting this lifestyle. Joint pain in the knees from just overuse and whatnot. This alleviated, and now everything is working really, really well. So no, I don't have any joint pain. Any of my back pains from an injury that I had, not a serious injury, but something that I could feel. That went away. Combination of just lifestyle as well, so just doing different types of stretches and whatnot. But you really start to notice it when the diet is proper, and just like the tension in the joints, it just starts to break down and go away.
Okay, well, Better World wants to know about muscle loss, hormonal issues like vaginal dryness.
Yeah.
That won't apply to you.
Well, I can tell you that from my personal no, I don't.
Digestive distress and anxiety. I don't experience vaginal dryness, not to make this super uncomfortable, but that's not an issue. And anxiety, literally, I don't experience very little anxiety. Sometimes it still does happen, like especially around certain energies and stuff like that. I don't know, but very rare. My anxiety is so much lower compared to what it was. Like I used to get anxiety sometimes just like buying something in a store, and I get barely any now ever. So that's changed so much. And I used to have hormonal issues. I don't have any of it. So I still get PMS. Things still happen though. I still get angry. I get like things happen, but it's way better. Muscle loss, I should be working out more. So I'm going to start getting back to that. I've just been inside all the time working on my channel, doing stuff. So I got to get outside more, walking, working out. But what about you for these things?
Well, muscle, I had a similar comment on my channel recently. And with muscle loss, it depends on how we're characterizing this, right? Like I was asked, okay, how do I adopt a raw food lifestyle and lose 0 weight? I'm like, you can't. I'm sorry. It's probably going to happen, right? You can't give your body the cues and put it under the conditions of detoxification and reform without nature doing exactly that. Like you tell her, listen, I want to heal. She's going to say, okay, well, I'm going to heal you. And that entails what looks like muscle loss, weight loss in whatever way that comes. So, I mean, that's going to be very difficult to avoid. But the thing is, it's body composition that you're after, not weight loss. Weight, who cares? Weight. I mean, if you look like a Greek goddess and you're 108 pounds or 250 pounds, and you are very shapely, it's like the weight almost, like, who cares, right? So
I agree.
it's body composition that we're after. So if you lose weight, right, that doesn't really matter. It's keeping on task with your exercise and just making sure that you are following those changes with enough exercise to keep your body composition looking good and looking sharp. So yes, you will experience weight loss in general, but that doesn't mean your body composition has to suffer so long as you just keep being active and not too sedentary. Yeah.
And Ven said, I'm interested in what kind of blood work I should be getting done for like relating to like possibly deteriorating. I personally think you should check like your B12.
Yeah.
Like I think people need to stay on top of like B12, iodine, zinc, like all those things, like DHA, EPA, all these things are important, right? Your vitamin A, K.
Yeah.
But maybe we get into this next question then. This was a good question.
Or inflammatory markers too. I mean, nothing different than anybody else would.
Yeah.
Like pretty standard.
Yeah.
If you're concerned about those things, you can get your blood work done, and whatever standard profile is going to give you what you need to know.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
And this viewer said, both of you are inspiring in spite of having differing viewpoints on some topics like supplements and what's suitable for all people. I would like to hear more about that. Not the battle, of course, but I want to know the truth. So basically, they want to know about supplements and they want to know about raising kids as raw vegans. They want your viewpoint on that. And then, so I think supplements are important, and I didn't used to think they were important at all. So when I was first raw vegan in 2016, 2017, I felt so amazing. I was like, supplements are not necessary. I wasn't even checking any blood work. 2017, I got pregnant with Victoria. I had the most amazing, almost all raw vegan pregnancy. I felt so good. I had her at home. She like weighed a healthy weight. Most of you guys might know this story if you watch my channel. And then she was primarily breastfeeding the first year. She wouldn't eat like the quantities needed of the raw foods. So I was like, what's happening? It was my dream to have like this healthy raw baby because it had changed my life. And then her and I both became deficient. So we ended up in the hospital, which is pretty crazy, which is pretty like sometimes I still feel a bit of shame around it. It's like just like, how did I let this happen? It was so irresponsible of me, but that's why I bring it up so that maybe I can help somebody else, because I really see a lot of people feel good and they don't think they need the supplements, and they're like, what supplements? I have a kid. I don't know what you're talking about. So I think it's important. It needs to be talked about more, but I like speak from experience with this with Victoria, and that's just my experience. Maybe other people don't experience that, but I was eating a wide variety of foods. I was eating a lot of foods, and we were both deficient, and she was deficient, and not even just like deficient on paper. Like she was having some problems. Thank God she's thriving and totally fine now. So like it didn't lead to like any permanent bad things, but it could for some people. So it's very important that that's why I speak out about this. But like B12, iodine, K, like all these things were low. It was like very traumatic for me. I felt worse than I'd ever felt in my whole life. It was just like I never felt so bad about anything because I never have cared more about anything than my kids, right? So I think it's important. And I think I think supplements are really important now. And like I said, I didn't used to. So I take an all-in-one supplement. It has like B12, DHA, EPA, K2, D, iodine. It has zinc, magnesium. And I think it's important to check blood work. I checked my blood work again a year ago. It was all fine. Victoria's is fine. But we became deficient. I didn't so much have any symptoms, but she did, and that's all been fixed. But that's why, from my experience, for us, it's important, and maybe for other people, I just say, like, check your blood work, right?
Yeah, it's, you know, and it's interesting because it's one of those things that, again, like I was saying before, it takes a little bit of finagling, takes a little bit of investigation to determine, you know, where you stand on that. Because like you said, some people don't notice that. Some people don't feel like they need much and they feel fine, right? So you're just gauging off how you feel, like what's your energy level like, what's my sleep like, and if all of the checks work out in your life, then it might seem that they don't need anything, and so they don't feel that way.
And some people I know, like, they're like, I've been raw for whatever for 15 years, my blood works fine. So like everybody is different. That's why I say, like, check it. See how you feel. I mean, it's different if you don't have kids too. If it's just your life and you don't want to take supplements, that's your choice, right? But
and now to your point though, of course, there's the undeniable thing where the type of food that we grow, it's not like the type of food that was grown, you know, thousands of years ago, right? We've got all sorts of adulterating conditions that our food is being grown under now. So, you know, whether it's nutrient depletion or, you know, mineral depletion in the soils. So we do have all this to consider, right? Where if you can get a good supplement, then this could really help you. If you have a particular genetic weakness, let's just say, right, for some sort of absorption, or like we were talking about earlier, if you've got organ damage that prevents you from absorbing a particular set of nutrients, then maybe that's something that's going to be helpful for you. So it would be a matter of sourcing good supplements, because good supplements are going to be the ones that are less irradiated, less dried, less, like, the least amount of processing possible, really, you know, just almost like a raw food. Because even yourself, I mean, you were still eating a whole wide variety of stuff, but you still had these issues.
And
right?
we lived in Costa Rica the first
And you
year
lived in
of her life.
Costa
She
Rica,
was like, I was eating a lot. She was getting the sun, and it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't go into too much detail about it, but that's why I think it's important. But you know, it's just what happened with us. That's why I share it. But I totally get, some people are like, I'm fine, I don't need it. They are getting it from the foods. Tasha, she wants to know about you, Eli. Is there anything you're still waiting to heal, or do you consider yourself to have perfect health?
No, I don't consider myself to have perfect health. For one thing, because just the simple discrepancy in how much time I spent abusing the heck out of my body as opposed to how much time I spent repairing it. It's completely imbalanced. Now, granted, it doesn't take as long to heal it doesn't take as long to heal from the amount of abuse that you put in. So if you abuse yourself for 30 years, it's not going to take 30 years to heal. But I'm still more unbalanced on the adulterated side of my lifestyle in terms of diet. So no, I don't consider that I'm perfectly healed, but I'm also not experiencing anything like really noticeable wrong with my health. I used to have like bad dry skin on my hands and some on my arm as well. And that really alleviated once I went on this lifestyle. I've mentioned it in other videos before. Sometimes, depending, I might still get a little bit of dryness in those same areas, but it's so totally different from what I used to experience. But because I still do get that every once in a while, that I know something's up. I know, so it's either an energy channel that is still not 100% there. Stuff that's really difficult to pinpoint is when it feels like you're doing mostly the right things. So no, I don't consider myself like there yet, but I mean, shoot for perfection and you end up getting excellence type of thing, right?
Yeah, that's a good one.
But yeah, I can't say that it's perfect, because, well, perfection is not really what we experience here in the mortal world, right? In our physical bodies, we're never going to be perfect.
Yeah, and comment down below. Do you guys think we look like we're deteriorating? I'm interested to hear. Be honest. So I don't feel like it at all.
Yeah,
Viviana has a great question. She says, the excessive sun exposure Does the excessive sun exposure contribute to deterioration, in your opinion? Many raw foodists love sun exposure. So
Yes.
I don't know, I spent my 20s in the tanning beds. So I remember people being like, when you're 40, you're going to look 85. And I'm 40 now this year in a few months. But I'm surprised it didn't affect me more, because sometimes I would go in 2 tanning beds in the same day. I would go to different locations, because I don't think you're allowed to tan at the same one twice. And I was so addicted to the tanning bed, it was just terrible. But I know that's not the natural sun, but I think it's even worse for you. But I like the natural sun. But what do you think? Do you think
it's the same? Any vital stimuli? When I say vital stimuli, sunlight, air, water, food, things that have a normal and natural relation to life and the maintenance of life. Any of those things you can overdo. Right? So sun can be overdone, even though it's a vital stimuli that's natural for life. If you bake in the sun all day and you burn yourself, you can burn yourself in the sun, right? We've all been burnt by the sun. But if you're living in Costa Rica or wherever, where it's nice and sunny and somewhere in the tropics, it's not that the sun is damaging if you spend a lot of time in it. It's just that if it becomes excessive, then it can hurt you, just like too much water can hurt you. Too much food can hurt you. I'm sure if I gorged on dates, I gorge on dates all day. I mean, it's not the greatest choice. Even if it wasn't a dried fruit, even if it was, I don't know, pick anything. If I literally gorged on them all day and distended my stomach so it looked like I was pregnant, right? Yeah, that's not a good thing. Even though pears and fruits and vegetables.
That's not good.
Sorry for my silly
I get anxiety after I eat
analogies.
dates. I don't know about anybody else. I seem to be the only person. I think they raise your blood sugar in a different way than the whole fruit. And if I eat dates, then I notice I feel a bit down for the next couple of days after not having dates. And I've tested this like a million times, so I kind of stay away from dates.
Yeah.
I know that's very random. So, okay. Diane says, what's up with clicking noises from joints? It happens my elbows, ankles, and jaw. Am I dehydrated? I actually hear this sometimes from people. I've never experienced this, so I'm not sure. I can't say, you guys. I'm sorry, but
that's an interesting question. I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, somebody also had a really great question too. I mean, all the questions are great. I'm lucky. I have the greatest viewers.
It's interesting because, I mean, a lot of people that are in the field can't even give a good answer for that. Like, it's a bit of a mystery, if I'm not mistaken. But it depends on what we mean by clicking. If by clicking we mean, okay, maybe that's a little bit of a problem. Sorry, that must have been awful for audio.
Maybe go to the doctor if that's the case.
Yeah.
If you were experiencing that, I don't know.
Yeah.
But Sandy said, I'm actually experiencing less energy, and I'm wondering if it's detoxing. That I think in most cases, if you're experiencing less energy, not always. I don't know everything, but for me, it would be if I'm not eating enough calories, or if you're maybe for some people are more sensitive to fats. If your fats are too high, or you're eating things that are harder to digest, like dried or dehydrated foods.
Did she get? So what did she say?
She just said I'm actually experiencing less energy as a raw vegan.
As a raw vegan, yeah. So I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you would need to set up a consultation. We would need to plug away at a whole bunch more questions. I mean, just saying raw vegan, it just doesn't provide us with enough data. So we need to know, how long have you been, raw vegan? What was your diet like beforehand? How do you eat? When do you eat? There's on and on and on it goes. So it's one of those things you want to give an answer, but it's really hard to give an actual good answer if we have no data to go on. So you could be in that phase that I was talking about. There's the honeymoon phase, and then all of a sudden there's there's the reform phase, right? But I don't know that because we don't know how long you've been raw vegan when you started all that information. So yeah, so more information necessary before we can give a good answer. Which sucks. I know that's not what you want to hear, but yeah.
Okay. I just want to say, you guys have so many great questions, and a lot of them, they're all amazing, but a lot of them aren't related to deterioration specifically.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to filter through those ones, and we're going to do another video with Eli soon, if he will be on my channel again. I keep asking him, and we'll just do a full like Q&A one with all the other questions. So don't worry, guys. I'm gonna try to get them all answered.
Cool. Okay.
So this is a great question. Does high fruit diet age one faster? Is there any study to support this? Okay, so here's another great question. Does the fruit diet age one faster? Is there any study to support this? So, you know, a lot of people ask this.
Yeah.
Because there's some people out there, I think, who are fruitarians, and maybe people think they look older than their average age. So, what do you think?
Fruit doesn't age you. First of all, it doesn't age you. Again, what we have to do is we just have to be circumspect. We just have to use our investigative, capacity here, and then just see what conditions we're operating under when we eat fruit. And the excess thing. How much fruit are we eating? Like if I had continued to just pound dates away for 6 years, who knows what effect that would have had. But luckily, I didn't do that. But in terms of studies that we have, I don't know of any. Right? This is such an uncommon thing that there's just no studies really that I know of. If you know of any, then obviously let us know. But yeah, does fruit age you? No. Does celery age you? No. Does spinach age you? No, it doesn't age you. These things hydrate you. They alkalize you. They make your lymph fluid flow more smoothly and less viscous. Right? They clean you out, thus making you a cleaner and healthier person. So no, it's not that they age you, but what can happen is, and I think you've got one more question there. You know what? I'll address that when we do our closing thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah, but so the answer is no. They don't age you, but they can clean you, and in the cleaning process, there can be changes done that might look like that. But again, it's hard to say.
Because, some people say all sugar is the same type of sugar, even if it's fruit sugar.
Yeah.
And they say that that's what is aging. I don't think so. I mean, I eat pretty high fruit. You look great. You don't look aged. So, but I mean, I'm not an expert at with the fruit aging. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, you guys.
It's for people that have that idea that fruit sugar is the same. It is absolutely not. Don't let anyone convince you. It is not the same. This is a complete, I have to be very firm on this. This is a complete fundamental difference between simple carbohydrate found in fruit or any food, any food or vegetable or whatnot, because they're all simple carbohydrates. So, or complex carbohydrates. But yeah, that is a completely different story than sugar and high fructose corn syrup. It's like, no, it's not the same. Yeah. So.
Okay. So this one says skin changes more so on the body odor, mood. We talked a little bit about these, mental health, eating out and family functions, physical changes to the face. So eye bags, tighter skin, whiter teeth. Yeah. Like I have way less bags under my eyes. I used to have bad bags under, not bad, but you would see a difference, bags under my eyes when I used to eat like meat and cooked food. My mental health is a lot better. My mood is drastically better. It is night and day. And body odor is like way less in my opinion. And so what about you? Skin changes. I still do have like a scar because I had a hernia surgery. The scar is still there a little bit. It hasn't healed 100%, but
yeah, it's similar story as yourself. Body odors just disappeared. Skin changes, yeah, definitely skin changes.
Or we think it's disappeared. Maybe people think we smell.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know. I have a funny story about people requesting that they smell me. Right, I've had a couple experiences.
What, like your subscribers think maybe you're misleading, and they say like,
no, just like some friends along the way have sometimes just like wanted to smell. So yeah, the odors kind of go away. Skin changes. Only started noticing people complimenting my skin once I made this change, and never before. So I mean, there's something there. It's an anecdote, but I mean, it's something to notice. So yeah, all positive feedback in those departments.
Yeah, me too. I mean, and really, I don't have any deteriorating to announce to you guys.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm turning 40 this year, so I am like aging a little bit, but I'm not like, not at all. I think at the rate I would be had I been eating how I was eating before. Like I said, like And I feel amazing. My energy's through the roof. So I don't have any deterioration symptoms to announce. It just gets better for me. If that changes, then I would be totally honest with you guys. And if I started massively deteriorating, was trying everything possible, I would let you know. But things are great with me. So
of course. And you look fantastic.
Thanks.
And I personally don't feel any deterioration. I don't think like things have gotten worse. I don't feel like things have gotten worse in any department. If we want to consider my weight loss as deterioration, you can. It would be a bit of a misnomer because it's just part of the process. But I've just reconstituted my body, and this is the result, which inevitably is weight loss. But that to me is not deterioration. That's just a process. And the last thing I'd want to say is that something I forgot to mention earlier is that if you have tissue that is too corrupted in the body, what your body will do if it's operating in those conditions where it has enough vital energy available to it because you've been doing the right things with your diet, okay? If there's a particular cell cluster or molecule or just tissue in general that is beyond the state of repair, what it's going to do is it's not going to waste time repairing the tissue. It's just going to break down and degrade that tissue and just get rid of it, recycle all the proteins and the amino acids and whatever the constituencies of the cell are, and it's going to use that to rebuild new tissue on the other end. So if you do a fast and you start to stimulate stem cells from your bone marrow, right? All these amazing things that happen when you're doing cleanses. Then all of a sudden these cells start to reemerge and refashion and build your body anew from the old that was broken down. So that's the last thought I would want to leave you with, is that just remember that your body is gonna, if cells are in a state where they're no longer functional and they're too badly battered to be saved and salvaged, your body is going to destroy the entire cell, break it down to its raw materials, which on the surface might look like some sort of detox or deterioration, and it's going to reconstitute that and build that cell up again from the new character of food that you're eating in your diet, right? So that is just something else to know that is happening under the surface that you can't see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, anyway, I don't know. I'm not deteriorating at all. And
No,
I think,
definitely not.
you know what I think? Like my eyesight and stuff, if I was not in a state of improvement, then I don't think my eyes wouldn't be getting better and my energy wouldn't be amazing. Like I wouldn't do this if things were like
I'm deteriorating. I'm too plant-based.
And with things like periods, I think if like girls lose their period, I mean, because you hear of that happening, right? You hear of girls losing. That's a big common thing of deteriorating that people say. And I guess people just assume sometimes when they comment on my channel. But like I said, I've never missed one. But I think maybe their hormones are off. I don't know. I'm not an expert with that at all. But I just say what's working for me and I don't miss my period. So maybe their hormones are off, like iodine is off or their iron or things like that. I don't know.
Yeah. I did. Well, I did. It's not up on my channel yet, but I did an interview with Magdalena White. And we got into that a little bit because that's something I wanted to ask her about, just hormonal changes and how the menstrual cycle works. And she gave some feedback like that, where when she made the changes, there were some irregularities as her body was transitioning and changing, and so she did notice them. But now she's fine and everything's normal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean there could be things like that to expect, or if they don't happen, then great. But if they do, it's not like the hammer of God has just been smitten on you from above. It's just part of a process, I guess.
Yeah. And I was thinking too, if you guys have any other questions about deteriorating, then definitely comment them down below. I love interacting with you guys and I'd love to answer them. And I do hope this video has added some value to you guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, give it a big thumbs up right now and make sure you subscribe. And we would definitely love to have Eli back in future videos. We love having Eli on. I love Eli. He's a great friend. And yeah, see you guys in the next video.
Thank you. I love being here too. This is fantastic. Yeah. So thank you so much again. And guys, take care. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye guys.